Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. It's a beautiful Tuesday, and I'm excited because of what we're going to talk about today. It's SOUQ Pulse, and we say this. We will never get tired of it. It's you, it's me. I will tell you, never keep quiet. Keep talking. So, what part of the divide are you? Where are you coming from? Are you from Africa, Asia, Middle East, the West? It doesn't matter the block where you are in or the ones you're building or molding. Is it breaking? Is it holding forth? Conflict or not? We talk. It doesn't matter which policy is affecting you the most. For those loaning or the loanee, those whose governments are winning or losing, those getting part of the election, it still doesn't matter. We talk. Because all we get to say here is tell you in plain colors how productive are we as a people. So now you ask yourself and put yourself in that particular gap. How productive are you in your community? How well is your business doing in your community? And if you happen to be African, beautiful. What part or what mile in the race are you? Because other continents have taken off long time ago. And if you happen to be Nigerian, oh, give yourself a round of applause. How are you contributing? Down to basics. What is it like with food on your table? So let's talk. It's SOUQ Pulse. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. And today we will talk about something that every one of us should look at. And maybe when we are done, we'll give ourselves a smack on the face. But let's slow it down. Now, for everyone out there, once upon a time you were a baby. I almost said you were born, but yes, definitely you were born. No one was manufactured. Once upon a time, your beautiful mom delivered you into this side of the planet. And you gave us those beautiful cry. I wasn't there. But something of a production is what we'll be looking at. Now you were fed. Be it for those that went through exclusive or those that were not able to go through exclusive or those that had to mix both. What was it like in Africa? Let's start from home, where we know. Were you fed with infant formulas? Were you fed with local delicacies? Were you fed with something that was very peculiar in your environment? But whatever it is, it worked for you. It worked for your community. It worked for your parents. Now, what has worked for your own children? Now, this is an industry that we are asking and looking at today. Are we playing there? What are we looking at? Infant formulas, child nutrition. What and where are the African brands on the shelves? I hope you now get where the gist is. The business of infant formulas, the business of child nutrition. Where are the African brands? That's what we'll be talking about today. And to join us and educate us, he's joining us via Zoom. It's no other but Mr. Olusola Malomo, who happens to be a registered dietitian and a nutritionist. And for those that are wondering, he's currently at a conference where this is majorly what is being discussed. Well, he didn't tell me that, but I had to ask a bird somewhere, and the bird gave me those particular descriptions. So, Mr. Olushola, thank you and welcome to SOUQ Pulse. How are you doing today, sir?
On SOUQ Pulse. Hello, can
Yes,
you
yeah,
hear
go
me?
ahead. We can hear you. Just speak up a bit. Now, the conference where you are at, I can see adequate nutrition. Now, which means you are not just educating people, you're also getting people enlightened. But now we are going to look at it from the business side of it. We are going to look at it from something that I will hold us responsible. I don't want to call Africa or Nigeria. So that is where we are going to be talking about today. So I'll always start from where we are. Let's look at the basics. You are well educated. You are well traveled. So you know the culture, both that of Africa and that obtains outside. Now, we know that over time, when a child is born, there is this particular advice, be it local or wherever it's coming from. Hey, try and do exclusive breastfeeding. 6 months, 3 months, if you can do 6 months. But now, there are mothers that can do exclusive. or there are mothers in what form or the other are not lactating much. Let's start there before we get to the infant. Is there any supplement, food, anything on the shelf that those mothers can take to be able to express more for the child?
Thank you very much. Basically, according to the World Health Organization, mothers are advised as soon as the child is being born, in the first 1 hour, to bring the child to breast so that the child can maximize the breast milk, particularly the first milk that comes, which is called colostrum, which is very high in immune substances. So it's very important. And breast milk is the best. Breast milk is the golden standard. Nothing else can replace breast milk. However, as you have said earlier, in the case in which a mother cannot breastfeed, either as a result of illness, either as a result of one reason or the other, we recommend such children should go on breast milk substitute. That is if you have explored all alternatives to ensuring the child is adequately fed. And one of the alternatives is having probably a surrogate mother that will breastfeed. Part of the alternative is having breast from breast bank. And in fact, I'm aware that some places in Lagos that we have breast milk banks where you can get breast milk. Why do we really need to go this extra effort? We are doing this because of the benefits that comes from breastfeeding, and that is why. But in the case in which a child is not breastfed, breast milk substitute is being recommended, and this is done with much more counseling so that a mother using the breast milk substitute will do it appropriately. I'll give an example. For the breast milk substitute, it comes in measurements: a scoop to 30 mils of water. That means if you are doing 2 scoops, you are doing 60 mils of water. But some mothers, probably in the bid of wanting to give their child the best nutrition, they may either under dilute. If you under dilute, that means it will be too thick, thicker than the standard. Such child can have constipation. If you over dilute, that is, instead of using the appropriate measurement, you use more water, lesser, the child may have malnutrition, the child may be underweight. So be it as it may, recommendation of breast milk substitute comes with much counseling for the mother so that she will do the right thing at the right time. You know, when you are breastfeeding, you breastfeed on demand. But for a mother that is giving formula feed now, you need to do it so that periodically you give the breast milk substitute so that the child doesn't come malnourished or wasted.
Much, Mr. Olusola, it's obvious and very obvious that you are not just an expert here, but you are talking not just out of experience, but something that you are teaching as we speak. Now let's come back to SOUQ Pulse and go to business. Business and productivity
Okay.
as it concerns we as a people. Now, let me mention these first 2 questions. For a mother that is not lactating and not producing breast milk, is there any product that the mother can take to be able to produce that breast milk? Now, for a child too that cannot be able to be breastfed, aside getting breast milk from someone else, a surrogate mother or a bank, and getting formulas, we are not trying to call brand names, but this is what we are going to. What formulas are there on the shelf? And what solution can a mother take to be able to produce breast milk if she's not producing enough or not producing at all, if there is any?
Yes, thank you very much. I will answer your question also without calling brand names because you see, there is age-specific breast milk substitute, and this is the beauty of this information I'm giving now. You see, there's a milk for children that are less than 6 years, and you have it written on the breast milk substitute. There are breast milk substitute from 6 months to 1 year, and you have it written on the container 6 months to 1 year. And you have breast milk substitute for children from 1 year and above. Now, the wisdom here is we need to be age specific. It's not proper when you are giving milk from 6 months and above for a child that should be using milk to complement the home food, to be giving such a child breast milk substitute that is 6 months and above. So if a child, as a result of something, cannot be breastfed, what is the best to do is to give age appropriate breast milk substitute. That is, when such mother is going to purchase the breast milk substitute, that is the formula feed, she should check for the age 0 to 6, 0 to 1 year. That covers the child. Now, for the mother,
Let's go ahead. Now, let's look at it from this other angle.
my
These
what is
formulas we're talking about, how many of them are Nigerian brands or African brands?
some of these companies, they bring concentrate inside, they import concentrate and they stabilize it. We have companies, here within. I may not go into the technicality of their production, but all I know that for mothers, ensure that the breast milk substitute you are buying is the one that have NAFDAC number, because coincidentally NAFDAC is also here with us, giving us much information. NAFDAC has been able to regulate breast milk substitute. So either we have indigenously produced, or either we have the ones that are imported. The work of NAFDAC and standard organization is to regulate what gets to consumers, and I think NAFDAC is doing that well. So once a mother can ensure that what they are purchasing have NAFDAC number, two, has not expired, because the expiry date is very important. Once you have the NAFDAC number, now why I won't be able to talk about brand is, let me give you another dynamic. We have different socio-economic level in our society, and these brands, they have basic components except a little tweak in probably the DHA, the docosahexaenoic acid, or some in probiotics, some with prebiotics. So each of these brands have different unique selling qualities. Some will push iron, some will talk, okay, in my own breast milk substitute, my selling point is iron. Some will say in my own breast milk substitute, my own selling point is probiotics. So, but however, I talked about socioeconomic status earlier. It comes with different prices. So the dynamics of it as a professional, as a clinician, is know your limit, know your level. It's not good for you to buy one brand today, jump to another brand tomorrow, buy this brand today, jump to another brand. You need to be consistent. The one that meets your socio-economic level, buy it consistently with it, with other food, you see that you achieve the best result. But because you say your neighbor is using this brand, and you now buy it, and the next time you can't afford it, you now drop to another brand, at the end of the day, it may not be sustainable. One, then you may not achieve the best result. So for us to achieve adequate nutrition in our children, once you identify a brand that you can meet, that meets your pocket, then go with it, and continuously you see that you see the best results from this breast milk substitute. But for the mother, she needs to eat adequately so that she can breastfeed adequately. However, there are some instances that we have challenges in breastfeeding. Maybe there's an engorged nipple, maybe there's an inverted nipple, the nipple goes inside, maybe there's poor milk let down. There are techniques in which healthcare professionals have been trained. Recently in Lagos now, we are undergoing training all over, and I know in other states of the federation, from Federal Ministry of Health and other partners, so that we can go into the community and talk about maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. We are not talking about the child now, the mother. If the mother eats adequately, if she knows the feeding, breastfeeding position techniques, how to position the hand, how to position the baby. Some people bring the breast to the baby, but no, you should bring the baby to the breast. There's an appropriate hand positioning. Not that you are breastfeeding and your hand is like this, holding the breast, but you need to support the breast like this. Once you support the breast, you see that the breast milk will flow. So all these information that goes along. We were on the field yesterday practically, and a lady was complaining, a 6-day-old child that's not, she said her milk is not coming out. But by the time one of our colleagues went close to her, taught her how to position the breast, we discovered that the milk was coming out. Even though she was frustrated earlier, you can see the joy in her face. So we shouldn't say, okay, I've been a mother second time, third time. No, every childbirth is a new experience. The wisdom of yesterday cannot solve the problem of today. Any challenge you meet, walk up to the healthcare professional so that such can help you, so that you can achieve breastfeeding. Also, when you are stressed up, there's a correlation between stress and breast milk. When you are stressed up, your breast milk may not flow. So eat adequately, ensure you rest. And this is also time for other family members to support, because a breastfeeding woman needs support. She needs to have time to breastfeed. Not that she'll bathe for the children, take them to school, do the laundry, cook, and still do other things. She needs time to breastfeed so that her milk will come out. Going back to the formula, you see, our regulatory agents need to stand up at this particular point in time so that we can control the influx of unregistered breast milk substitute in the country. We can control the influx of expired breast milk substitute into our country, because the life of our children, this age, the first 1,000 days of life, that is from pregnancy to the second birthday of the child, is very important. A child can develop cognitively and be a genius. Also, a child can also have poor development, in which that child will have difficulties in learning, difficulty in development. So for us to have a great nation, for us to increase the productivity of our country, we need to look at breastfeeding. We need to look at breast milk substitute. For those that cannot breastfeed, let us appropriately teach them. Let us appropriately make available and support them. You see, and that's why we are talking of breastfeeding support groups in our primary healthcare centers, in our secondary facilities, in our tertiary facilities. So it's very important for us to get it right. You see, when the foundation is faulty, what can a righteous do? The foundation of life is this breastfeeding and this feeding of infant and young child. So it's very important for us to get it right in their nutrition.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Olusola. I just sat here and let you just drop that words and words of wisdom. Now let's get back to where we were. A lot of the companies you mentioned earlier on, without calling brands then, for those that were manufacturing in Nigeria, you see most of them bring in substrates, come in here and do the mixing before packaging. Now let's bring this question again. Of all these companies, at this point in time, please feel free to call brands. Do we have indigenous African or Nigerian companies playing in the field of infant formulas?
I am not aware of any as of now. I'm not aware. I must be frank with you. But I stand to be corrected. If I leave this platform, I'll get more information. But currently, I'm not aware of any indigenous breast milk substitute company. You see, it's a big investment. That aspect of business needs a very massive investment. So for me, most of the companies that I've been relating with within international companies having their companies in Nigeria, and these are those that have been interfacing with us. You know, it is those that interface with us as healthcare professionals that we know. So now I'm not of the know, but some are producing. I don't know of milk. I don't want, I'm mindful of the kind of information I give out. I know of probably cereals that have been produced here in Nigeria, that have been sourced in Nigeria, because soya is one of the basic components of some of these cereals. I mean, infant cereals now, and that is being sourced locally in Nigeria. But that of the milk, I'm not so sure with that information.
Thank you very much. I never wanted to put you on the spot. Now, let's look at the progression of our discussion. One thing is
Okay.
sure, we value our children. One thing is sure, we want to see our children do better than us, grow. But now let's look at it from the other side. That means in the last 60 years, we have dutifully fed our infant aside breast milk with formulas that are coming from outside this country. Which means in the last 60 or plus years, an industry that is supposed to have taken off has remained dead. Not just in Africa, not just in Nigeria, but several countries in Africa. Is it that we are not seeing this, or we just decide to be lazy about it?
You see, I'll go uh, I'll go a little into agriculture, and I'll, the raw material for this breast milk substitute is milk. And when we look at our own climb here, the way cows are being handled. Okay, the first question is, can you access fresh milk? As we're talking now, can you access fresh milk? Okay, you want to drink fresh milk from the cow? No, it's impossible. For in other climes, in the morning, you see fresh milk, undiluted, non-evaporated fresh milk. So when you look at our culture here, look at our agricultural system, we don't have dairies, we don't have farms in which you have, okay, well, we have some farms, but not spread across. I know of Medellin farm and some other farms like that. So we need to go into having animal husbandry for the production of milk, for us to even go into that industry. Because the cows that the Fulani herdsmen move from place to place cannot produce enough milk. Yes, recently I heard of a farm, I can't remember, in the north, that is trying to work with individual farmers, and they will collect milk produced from them so that they can go into production, but it's not even infant formula. So the technology, we don't have the technology. Aside from the technology, the raw material, you need continuous supply of milk, of cow's milk. So for us to do that, if laws, aside from playing politics, if you have cattle ranches spread across the country, and from these cattle ranches, we know that, okay, we have 1,000 cattle in this ranch. Out of this 1,000, 400, 500 will get milk from there. Then sustainably, you can calculate, you can program, and once you get this milk, you can process. But we don't have ranches. The Fulani is carrying the cow from place to place. So where do you get the fresh milk? So for you to be able to produce breast milk substitute, we really look at our livestock system. A lot of discussion, deliberation is going on up now, having a livestock ministry or thereabout. We need to improve our livestock system, the feeding, the husbandry, so that we can get the best from them, not only for beef. Most of the production of cattle livestock production in Nigeria is because of the meat, the flesh that comes from it. We need to look inward. He said in the last 60 years, we need to have investors. There's nothing that is impossible. For someone like Dangote to be refining petroleum, that means we can have some business giants that will come together, conglomerate, then they will have high-tech farms. From these farms, they can produce milk. From this milk, they can now establish a food processing protocol, so that from the farm, the milk will be produced, processed, and we'll have our breast milk substitute produced. But without that, I think it will be a mirage, and it will be a venture that we cannot achieve because of raw material. I said earlier that we are having cereals, infant cereals, because we are producing soya. Soya is coming from Abeokuta, and from there. So we need to invest more. Now we can import the dairy if the environment is well controlled, so that it will be the environment we can. I know farms that bring cows from Poland and from other Scandinavian countries, which they regulate the temperature and they are producing milk. But for us to Nigeria is a very big market, and for us to harness or to maximize this market, we need to have the raw material. That is the cow that will produce the milk. Once we have a constant supply, a sustainable supply of milk in large quantity, you see, then the food processing industry will work their protocol, will work their system, so that we can be having this breast milk substitute produced in Nigeria. Aside that, we'll continue to import concentrate of milk, which will be stabilized and be worked on in the factory for us to have the finished product, which is the breast milk substitute.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, some time ago, not too far, we had issues of tainted milk substrates that got into the shelf. We had issues of, just like you've mentioned, expired product that got imported into this country. It got on the shelf. We had issues of substandard milk formulas that also got on the shelf. The line and the story and the event is a continuum. All this keep happening because we don't produce ours. We are not in charge of ours. And for those licensed, those that have been empowered to stop some of this coming in, it's difficult because the child must be fed. And price happens to be one of the things that causes mayhem, because if a village person or someone that is not that well to do sees a cheap milk, the person will buy. He has to feed the child. Now we come back to this 60-something-year-old question again. For the first 6 months of a child, what should Nigeria and Africa start looking at beyond imported formulas?
Actually, just like I said earlier, that the golden standard is breast milk. So if you cannot get breast milk, go for breast milk substitute. Any other item would be in contravention of the standard as agreed by the World Health Organization, by the Federal Ministry of Health, by the State Ministry of Health, and by the other regulatory bodies. And I want you to know that there's what we call the WHO code. This code regulates the marketing of breast milk substitute. This code regulates the distribution of breast milk substitute. So, as much as possible, our own duty is to ensure, when we need to help mothers, particularly mothers that are not breastfeeding, not because of probably mental illness, not because of medication, not because of having a particular illness that can be contaminated, that would transfer to the child. Aside for that, if it's the breastfeeding challenges, as I said earlier, poor milk let down, inverted nipples, sore on the nipples, engorged nipples, all these challenges, the healthcare provider, the nurse have been trained, the doctor, the pediatricians, the dietitians, the nutritionists have been trained on how to assist such mothers. But aside that, you see, people go for other alternatives, and all these alternatives are totally wrong. I've seen conditions in which mothers have given fizzy drinks to their children. This is totally wrong. When you are looking, you see, the problem is when you look at statistics, current statistics from National Demographic Health Survey, we are not doing well in terms of exclusive breastfeeding. And we really need to raise this standard. We need to work on this standard. You see, we are talking about exclusive breastfeeding. And as long as we are encouraging mothers to do exclusive breastfeeding, we are not expecting them to give their child any other thing aside from breastfeeding. No water, no herbal concoction, except on rare cases in which there's an illness and the pediatrician will recommend or will prescribe drugs or medication appropriately for such children. But by and large, breast milk is the golden standard. If a child cannot breastfeed, then the next step is to go for the breast milk substitute, and it should be given to the child as prescribed or as written on the nutrition label of that product. You see, I've experienced in the past, a mother was giving glucose, sugar, and water. No. All these, it will affect, because you see, there's a recommended allowance, expectation, recommended dietary allowance that the child needs day 1, day 2, day 3. Now, if the child is not meeting up this allowance, what it means is that the child will fail to grow, the child will fail to develop. And for such a child, we may have what we call stunting, in which you have a stunted growth. That child is shorter than the age, we may have wasting, in which that child will be very skinny, very thin, won't have flesh, or we have what we call underweight. So you see, managing malnutrition is more expensive, and trying to prevent it through appropriate breastfeeding, all this is very cheap and it's cost effective. You can look at the number of hours a mother with malnutrition will spend with the child in the hospital. You can look for other medications, but what are we expecting her to do? Just clean your breast and breastfeed. If you cannot do that, look for breast milk substitute, get a clean cup, get warm water, boiled water, put it in your cup and dilute it as prescribed by the manufacturer. So gone are those days in which people give you different concoction. No, we are in an era in which we should be thinking of the productivity of the future. Someone in London, someone in France is equipping the child intellectually. It will get to a time that these children, they will meet in the market, either in the labor market, either in the schools, to compete. It is what has been deposited in their brain according to nature and nurture. That is what they have to show for it. You have some countries now, they have their children underage going to coding, going to other intellectual cerebral activity. Is because their brain have been given a level playing ground. That is, by nourishing them adequately to meet up. Mind you, a child continues growing until 5 years. So if the child is not meeting up the nutritional requirement, that child will fail to grow. And that's why we have growth failure, failure to thrive, and other conditions in children. In child development, there are what we call developmental milestones. There's a child, the time the child is supposed to sit, there's a time the child's neck is supposed to hold, there's a time the child is supposed to crawl, there's a time the child is supposed to stand. If the child is not, if such a child is not meeting up with the nutritional requirement, that child will not meet up with this. So you have a child 2 years, the child has not walked. You have a child 8 months, that child have not sat down. The mother is still supporting the child. Why? Because that child could not meet up with adequate nutrition of his or her age daily. Mind you, whatever the child does not get on that day, even though he get times two the following day, does not matter, because development is gradually, is time bound. What you are supposed to eat for today, you need to eat it for today for you to meet up for the other day. So if you are deprived today, the case is closed. Second day, you are deprived. Before you know it, it becomes prolonged, and for such a child will see malnutrition or other manifestation of malnutrition. And mind you, malnutrition is not even only when the child is small of body stunted. There's what we call micronutrient deficiency or eating hunger, in which nutrients like iron is deprived, vitamin A or zinc or iodine. Or these other forms of malnutrition are not observable by just looking at an individual, except to carry out some tests. And when iron is deficient, such a child will be weak, such a child brain development may be hampered. When the child have vitamin A deficiency, for example, that can affect the immunity of the child. That can also affect the sight. Vitamin A has to do with the sight, and iodine for other metabolic purposes. So it's very important that a child meets up with the nutrient requirement, both micronutrients and macronutrients. Micronutrients are the ones I mentioned earlier: vitamin A, iron, iodine, zinc, and iron, vitamin A, iodine, zinc. Then the macronutrients, our protein, our carbohydrate, fat and oil, and all that. So it's very important for us to balance it because of the future.
Now let's go beyond the child that is above 6 months old. And now let's look at the regular. What we are known for. What Africa has been known for aside the infant formulas. Now let's ask this question. Why don't we have African feeds on shelves? 99.9% of our fathers, down to myself, were fed somehow with African food. Porridge, pap, ogi, cocoa, whatever thrived in your culture that were healthy, some additions for child above 6 months old. And this is still obtainable. Why don't we have them on the shelves? But we still have a whole lot of foreign brands of things of that nature still on shelves.
Well, thank you very much. You see, the wisdom of yesterday cannot solve the problem of today. And that is why we need to have innovators. These foreign products that you talk about didn't just come into place. Some people sat down, scientists, thought about it, incubated the idea, ideated, and they came and brought out products. Now, let me just digress with this little thing. Sometimes ago, do you know that jollof rice was imported into Nigeria? Of all food, jollof rice, that is indigenous Nigerian jollof. So for you to see how far some countries are going, we need to be innovative. We need to go back into the lab. You see, our universities need to go beyond having their write-up in journals, doing conferences. No, we need to start impacting into the life. We need to convert that our research, ideate our research, so that we can have a patented product in which consumers can benefit from. There's nothing that stops us from having porridge, packaged porridge. There's nothing that stops us from having packaged amala, for example. All these are indigenous products. Now, let's come back to complementary feeding. Now, for children, even though we have complementary foods that are branded, that are well prepared, but we as healthcare providers, as nutrition experts, we always clamor for us to introduce the traditional home food to the child. What do I mean? Now, I'm a Yoruba man. My baby is getting to 6 months. From 6 months, as I'm eating, part of little of that amala, I should be able to put it in the child's mouth so that the child can have some evaluation of the taste, the smell of the amala. A little fish in the mouth of the child so that the child can grow up to know the taste of that fish, to be registered in the brain, the hypothalamus of the child. So we need to start gradually introducing our children to home food. Now, there's this phenomenon called double winning. Now, when your child is from 6 months and you keep giving imported food, probably you are from the affluential side and you feel the money is there. Now, it will get to a time that you will need to win this child from this food that you are giving the child, because the child will be so used to that food that you need to discontinue. And the only way to discontinue is to win that child from that formula, cereal, that packaged cereal. So we are advocating for the 5-star diet. Before, during the IYCF, that is infant young child feeding protocol, we are talking of 4-star diet. But now, all over Nigeria now, we are talking of this mincy.
Okay. Now let's also look at this aspect before you
Now,
get back to us. We have a whole lot of research that has gone on, both government sponsored, some private sponsored. One particular popular one is soy ogi. I think I still remember that very well. These are things for us who want to start seeing on the shelf. Now, we also have a research that came out some time ago, and it had to do with fermented maize, a little bit more of porridge. And we still ask this same question. To what extent and how serious are we taking this? Because this is business. These are jobs. These are effects that we are all looking at and waiting to import something that we know that ours is better than. And if we want to win these children, this is the best way to win them into solid food. Why are parents, why are we not following that route?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, we have a lot of opportunities because of our indigenous varieties. And I'm happy from what you mentioned earlier. You know, there's what we call, for example, a dry cereal that can be a combination of our cereals, combination of maybe guinea corn and millets, combination of maybe yellow corn and guinea corn, combination of maybe millet and sorghum. So we have the raw materials, we have the research, but We really need to be innovative and encourage medium scale entrepreneurs to go into the production of such items. Oftentimes I go to food exhibitions and I see some upcoming producers. Now, we need to scale up either by producing funding for our incubation center, because it is a market that we can leverage on for foreign exchange, exporting some of this product. If it meets up with the Codex Alimentarius, that is the standard for exporting of food items, we have varieties. We have indigenous varieties. And mind you, some of these items are going out of this country without having proper brands. You have people sending them to their relative. Even we still have wet product being moved out. You have the pap, maybe the guinea corn pap paste, dry form. Once the moisture content have been reduced, that is being taken out of this country. So this is business, and I'm happy you're talking of the business aspect of it. All we need to do is to look inward for us to empower, for us to have collaborations, for us to have incubation centers that will keep experimenting, particularly packaging, because of the shelf life, because of the stability, because of spoilage, because some of them are perishable products. However, the other alternative, as I said earlier, like drying. Now, for consumers are looking for the best alternatives. So even though it is not the standardized so that it could be packaged and kept on the shelves of supermarket, we can still have local productions. I know of people that their sole business is production of ogi, and they wrap it, they package it, and it goes for sale in the local market. So we can leverage on this. We have young people that can go, they can empower themselves with this form of business, because either we like it or not, as day breaks, human being will open the mouth and put food there. And breakfast is one of the most important meal of the day. And we have what we call breakfast cereals, like our pap, yogi, akamu, ogi baba, and all this stuff. So it is a line of business when you're looking at the business, because every day we have children being born. That means every day some children will be meeting up with the 6 months in which they can take their complementary food. And where do they get this complementary food if nobody produce them? So we need to look inward so that we can help our local producers, help ourselves too, because when you look at the cost of some of these products, it's expensive, some as much as 10,000 and thereabout. So, and the money we used to buy one, you can use to even feed that child for as much as 8 days, 6 days, or thereabout. So, and I like what your channel is doing, SOUQ Pulse. This is an awareness creation. This is a form of a way of sensitizing policymakers, sensitizing investors, sensitizing business mongo. Let us look inward. If the world can bring a foreign investor, let us pump in money for our local investors so that the dollar can be stabilized, so that we can have products for foreign exchange. You see, it is high time for us to start exporting some of these our cuisines, our delicacies, our food items to other. Let's even start from our neighboring countries, our African countries, then move to Europe, move to America and other countries. I want to tell you, this is a line for us to explore, and there is a lot of opportunities, both in form of tourism, both in form of even healthcare, because looking at breakfast cereal is very good. Or I'm delving down even into adults, for adults that want to check their weight, for adults that want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Some of these breakfast cereals are good for their consumption and good for their health and wellness.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Olusola Malomo. It's been my pleasure having you on SOUQ Pulse today. Our time is gone. I wish we had longer time and we'll just talk about the business part of it, then talk more about children. But hey, I will want to invite you to SOUQ Pulse next time, and I will really crave your indulgence to please, even if it happens to be short notice or you are in a conference, kindly do answer us just like you did today. I look forward to having you next time, sir.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine.
For everyone out there, you will agree with me that it's been a long time coming. We've had independence for those in Nigeria since 1960. So if you do plus or minus, you know what it looks like. The figure is scary. And so for all that period, even post or pre-independence, we've been feeding every child born here, aside exclusive breastfeeding from formulas imported into this country. Now we all need to look down and give ourselves a slap. That's a shame. We say we want to grow as a nation. We say we want to be able to stabilize the economy. We say we are looking for jobs. We say we are trying to get the FX up. And yet the basic thing of feeding the child you gave birth to, I gave birth to, someone else has to take our money. Now, this is something we all need to look at and tell ourselves some basic truth. Africa needs to get productive. That is the sector we need to play. Now, beyond those that are 6 months old, we have had different kind of cereals indigenous to us. Very good. We grew up on it. Our children grew up on it. Our fathers grew up on it. They are even better. Researchers have done it better. Why are they not on the shelf? Now we need to give ourselves another slap. So what excuse do we have? Let's invest and put our monies where our mouth is. It's SOUQ Pulse where we say, let's talk. And we'll get there. My name is Chooks. Don't take it too hard. We'll do this again tomorrow. Don't run in. Chooks John Rogers is still the name. I want to say thank you for being there with us today. Have yourself a beautiful evening.